Clem has been on absolute fire recently. He just picked up his very first Premier Tournament victory by winning DreamHack Winter Europe, taking on some of the best players along the way. Now, I've got a feeling that this man is going to win many more, because unlike some of the other players at the tippity top of the skill level, he still seems to be continuously improving. I mean, I mentioned that like 2 years ago when I first started casting Clem games, and he's still doing it. Like, he's still getting better, and he's already playing at such a high level. Well, as you may have already guessed, he's spawning right here in the bottom right-hand corner of Death Aura. That's map number 1 in this best of 3 series of Terran versus Terran. And it turns out he's already sending out an SCV towards what seems to be the other side of the map. So I've got a feeling that this is going to be a little bit of proxy barracks shenanigans right here by the French Terran player. His opponent, though, playing here with the blue SCVs, definitely no slouch whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I would consider this man to be the strongest Terran player of all time in StarCraft 2. He's got north of like $900,000 of tournament earnings. Tons of tournament victories, tons of semifinals, quarterfinals, and all the rest of it. He's been around in the professional gaming scene for about a decade, and he's only 23 years old. Of course, that means we have none other than Maru. Now, by the way, that's not an exaggeration. If you actually go back into the archives, if you like Google Maru 2010, he actually qualified for the very first GSO Code S. Back when he was like, I think like 12 or 13 or something along those lines. So this guy, I mean, absolutely phenomenal Terran player. Really, really good. So let's see how good someone like Clem is going to be against someone of the caliber like Maru. So it's going to be a single tech lab right here on that barracks, only a single barracks as well. So probably plans on building a factory here in just a little bit. Double gas as a follow-up as well. Maru did decide to go for a double barracks opener himself. He does now scout the timing right there of that factory, so he doesn't quite know exactly what's going on, but he probably realizes that something could be very wrong here indeed. Single gas right here on the side of Maru, so he's going to be able to pump out those Reapers relatively easily. He's probably going to need a bunker here very shortly, because it's going to be Marauders with concussive shells. So Maru right now sees little green light right there in that tech lab as well, so that means that he knows exactly what he is going up against. There it is, a bunker at the front. Now, how is this going to go? Marauders actually have a surprising amount of range. I never quite realized this because you never really see them in these kind of cheesy scenarios, but this has been a little bit more popular recently. It's actually really cool. Concussive Shell, obviously, in case you're unfamiliar, it slows down units that are hit by it. Nice snipe right there by Clem. Manages to pick up one of those units. Beautiful grenade right over there as well, though. Nicely done. Does hit his own SCV, so I actually think the SCV is now going to be in a little bit of trouble. But this does buy enough time right there for the bunker to finish up. Ooh, just barely pulls back there, right there, that Marauder in time. One of the Reapers desperately jumps back. Now, beautiful surround actually by Maru. Gets the entire wraparound right there on that one Marauder, and it actually takes quite a bit of damage right there from the SCVs. Bunker finishes up, and immediately we see a command center coming up here as well for the Terran player in blue. Alrighty. Nice little bit of a micro war here already. Now, what I love about this is that this is relatively low commitment actually for Clem. Wow. Okay, I was gonna say, like, even if you have the barracks on the other side of the map, it doesn't limit you, right? You can still build the factory at home. You can still make the starport at home as well. And losing one barracks is not the end of the world. It looked like he was actually giving up on this position, but right now he's actually brought the barracks all the way back. I don't actually know if Maru may have seen that. No, I don't think so. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I don't think he saw that. Maybe he was trying to sell a story, because it looks like, at the very least, that Clem wants to continue this aggression maybe for a little bit longer. He does now start up a command center of his own as well. But the question is, did he do enough damage right there, right? I don't think he did. No, I don't think he did. You gotta keep in mind here that Maru's command center is quite a bit quicker. The only thing that Maru doesn't have going for himself... Now, he actually decides to go for a third CC. That's so greedy. The only thing that Maru doesn't really have here is tech, right? So his starport, obviously, is going to be quite a bit later right here than that of Clem. So I think that's going to indeed come up here as his very next structure. Medevac going to bypass that bunker here on the low ground. There's a couple of Marauders in here. Or actually, yeah, no, 2 Marauders and then 2 Hellions. I wasn't sure if it was 3 Hellions and 1 Marauder or 2 and 2. Regardless, this can actually deal quite a bit of damage. Marines right now decide to leave the safety of the bunker, and they move towards the high ground. Actually, the combo of 2 Marauders and 2 Hellions? Third Hellion right now joins the fray as well. There's the Cyclone, though. Cyclone super critical, but since there's no Medivac or anything along those lines here for Maru, it's going to be picked up very easily. That's now additional SCVs coming up. Who needs a War Prism, apparently, if you can just micro your units perfectly right here inside of that Medivac. Nice push right here by Clem. And that certainly right now closes that gap at least a little bit. Alrighty. So, his own third CC now starts up too. I mean, at this point, I think we can say that he's certainly ahead, right? I mean, I'm making it sound like he's behind and he's closing the gap, but he's in a beautiful position right now. Really good bit of micro. Now, obviously, if you lose this medevac with all the units in sight, then it's a bit of a different story. But nice push right there by Clem, for sure. Ooh, actually, nice move here by Maru. Is it gonna go out of vision range? Okay, well, that's kind of unlucky. Actually, yeah, I don't think you wanted to do this. I think that was Clem playing a little bit too ambitiously there. And the medevac does indeed fall. Alrighty. Now, this is a strange hit squad of units. It's like he's building one of each. How do you counter one of each, right? Because the Cyclone counters the medevac and the Banshee counters the Marauder. Like, if you make one of each, how can you possibly counter it? In the meantime, obviously, siege tanks are coming up for Maru. He does have triple CC, so those mules are gonna pump up his income quite a bit. And it's actually relatively doable for him at this point to actually stabilize. He decides to go for double engineering bay here as a follow-up. Already has Stimpack started up as well. It's gonna take a while for that to finish. Clem decides to bring his own siege tank, of course, as we saw, towards the other side of the map. That bunker is not gonna be solved for some time, so that is 100 minerals down the drain right there for the blue Terran. There's the Raven here available as well for Maru. Now, the Raven, of course, it has an ability called Interference Matrix, which can basically disable a unit temporarily. The most important thing to look out for at this point is that these Ravens, once they have enough energy, they can disable the opponent's siege tanks. Now, is this in range of... Ooh! Actually, if you pump them right there really... Or if you put them right there really closely to the ramp, I think that might be in range right there of the orbital command. Yep, I think so. Oh, Clem. He's found a little nuke over here that his opponent just barely can't reach. There are 2 siege tanks available as well for Maru, but in order to engage this, he's gonna have to unsiege his own tanks and move forward. Second Raven now joins in as well for Clem. Oh, this is actually a really neat little position. Oh, I feel bad for Terran players that are gonna have to play TVT over the next couple of weeks on this map. This seems like an extremely difficult position to break. Now, SCVs are desperately trying to repair. Maru trying to buy as much time as possible. He's finishing up Stimpack, right? And that's what he's waiting for here. So he probably will unsiege now that Stimpack is done and try to make a move for it. Oh, man. Clem actually moving from the low ground as well, dealing some damage right there. I think he needs to commit, man. He's pumping out 5 Marines at once, though, so he's really trying to buy as much time here as possible. As long as he's out repairing this orbital, I guess this is okay, but obviously it's not free to repair those structures. So this is, regardless of all what you're seeing right here and no structures going down, this is still a really nice push here for Clem, assuming he does not lose everything. I think it comes down right here to the Ravens. Where's that Raven in blue? Okay. I was gonna say, if he loses that one, or if he lost that one while I wasn't paying attention, that would be a disaster. Man, he is so patient. Maru, by the way, ridiculously good at playing defensively. He did now scan as well to confirm his opponent's third base. Oh my god, here we go, here we go. Here's the Raven. Here's the Raven moving in from the side. He wants to go for the disables. Does manage to get one, but that's all he's gonna get. A couple of auto turrets in the meantime here as well coming up for Clem, and I've got a feeling he's got more than enough. Clem, that is, to clean all of this up. Yeah, GG is cold, and just like that, Clem obtains the victory here in game number 1. Terran versus Terran has to have some of the most complicated early game in all of StarCraft 2, right? I mean, Zerg versus Zerg, for example, is extremely micro-heavy in the early game as well. But in ZVZ, it's mostly Lings and Banes and then the Queens, I suppose, right? In Terran versus Terran, it seems like you can have like 8 different units out by the 5-minute mark quite easily. And all of the different units actually interact with each other a little bit differently. And in the early game, they all have like 5 hit points. It's kind of wild. You can make one little error. Now, oh, would you look at that? Apparently this time around, it's Maru who has decided, okay, you know what? I am going to go ahead and show you how a proxy barracks is supposed to be done. I'm going to go ahead and build, I guess, 2 barracks. At the very least for now. Maybe he's going to add on more here in a little bit on your side of the map. Now, this is kind of far away from the opponent's main base. So, I mean, I don't think he's going to... Yeah, no. He's not going to run all the way around. He's going to follow this up right now with a refinery. So that means to me, at the very least, that this is going to be some Reaper shenanigans. So Maru is going to be able to abuse this ledge over here to jump towards the high ground quite easily. This time around, Maru is going to be the aggressor, and Clem is going to be the defensive player. So let's see how this is going to play out. I think in general in StarCraft 2, being the defensive player is harder. Just because being the aggressor, it seems like you just, you know, you have like the element of surprise, and it seems like the micro is a little bit easier as well, although, I don't know. I think technically on paper though, like the defensive player does have that defender's advantage in the sense that they, you know, have their units spawning closer to the actual battle. But usually it seems like being the defensive player is just harder to execute. So let's see how this is going to go right here for Team Liquid's Clem. He's sending that SCV across the map. Bit of a deja vu from that previous game. This time around though, no factory on top of that ramp. And Clem right now realizes, okay, wait a second, something is not quite right. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that something isn't quite right. I mean, the barracks could be over here, or it could be over there, or it could be over there, right? Like, there's still tons of locations where you can plant down the barracks. But this is going to be a little bit of shenanigans. And, well, truth be told, Maru is also kind of known right now for going for this kind of cheekiness, at the very least, every once in a while. So here we go. Bunkers are already coming up on the high ground, yeah. Perfect defense so far here by Clem. He's following it up with a Marine. Factory is a little bit late, especially considering he went a very early refinery here, but I guess he really wanted to prioritize getting those bunkers up. And at this point, I think he should be okay. I wonder if it's worth putting like the bunker a little bit closer and then like making a full wall off here with a depot. I'm not entirely sure. Anyways, there's one Marine over there in that bunker and one Reaper in the bunker here at the bottom. I've got a feeling that for all intents and purposes, this is now pretty much already held, right? Yeah. Maru's gonna fly in one of these barracks. He doesn't really need to at this point in the game, so he's probably just gonna try and get some more scouting information here. You gotta be careful as well when you are the defensive player, though, that you aren't gonna overcommit to defending. Obviously, you can always salvage these bunkers, so it's not a huge commitment here for Terran, but yeah, you gotta be careful that your command center isn't gonna be too late. Anyhow, Hellion is available here. There's quite a few units in general. That grenade, oh, these guys just barely live. At the same time, actually. Ah, okay. So I backed up for just a little bit, trying to figure out whether were two dead SCVs on the left side of the screen. But it turns out the scouting worker right here from Clem was still inside of his opponent's main base. And apparently that one got killed by right there. This bad boy over here, okay? He killed one of his red counterparts. Starts up the command center right now as a follow-up as well, while he's scouting his opponent's main base. So I love this. Whenever you have an extra barracks on the other side of the map, you can't really use it very often anyway. May as well use it right here for scouting purposes. Oh, I never even considered that just now. Oh, we never see this. So in case you're unfamiliar, yes, tech labs and reactors are technically considered to be neutral structures. So Maru actually just now stole his opponent's tech lab for a little bit, and he's trying to deny that factory from landing for a little bit there. Now Clem eventually is a little bit quicker than his opponent. We barely ever see that. That is so sick. Ah, that's cool. Okay, yeah, so basically, right, you can only have this in Terran versus Terran, obviously. If you land a structure of yours, so a barracks, a factory, or a starport on one of your opponent's tech labs or reactors, you do get to make use of it, and it actually, like, changes sites magically. So you could see that one just now turning blue there for a little bit until Clem decided to take it back. It's extremely uncommon, but I mean, I don't even really know if it's worthwhile, right? But it probably threw Clem off just a little bit. I mean, it delays the cyclone, I guess, for like 10 seconds, which is neat. But you also lose the barracks. Feel like that one was mostly one for the fans, okay? I mean, it's nice. It's obviously a mental victory, more so than anything, I guess. But not really the end of the world right here for Clem whatsoever. Anyhow, here we have the Mag Field Accelerator upgrade coming up, which is the Cyclone upgrade. Both players decided to pick up very quick third refineries as well. Clem decides to go for a single Banshee here before he will probably make a Raven of his own. There we go. Because the Ravens are so very important right now in the current meta of TVT. Super useful unit if you can actually micro it properly. Now this Banshee obviously can be used on the other side of the map quite well as well. It seems that Maru has decided to send all of his units towards the other side. So the reason why he's waiting right here on the top of the ramp is probably to see if his opponent decides to move out with something. So say a Medivac flies by this location, or a couple of Hellions with a Reaper, for example, that was left over or whatever, like decides to run up this ramp. They would get picked off very, very easily. The only problem right now is that that Banshee... Where is it? Oh, it's over here. I could barely even see that. This one is... Yeah, it's got a lot of room. It's got a lot of opportunity to potentially deal damage right here, because once more, Maru actually decides to send another one of those across the map. So the Mag Field Accelerator upgrade does finish up right now. Reaper inside of the main base confirms what's happening, sees that indeed the third CC has been started up. Maru in the meantime also started up his third command center, but that one is a little bit later. I think Clem is waiting with this one on purpose. He wants to know that his opponent is committed on the other side of the map. Like, the worst thing you can have happen with a Banshee is that your opponent is just gonna lock on with one of those Cyclones and it just, like, dies. It's not ideal, okay? It's not ideal. So if you know your opponent is committed on the other side of the map, that's usually a much better moment to actually jump it in. Okay, so engineering bay right now is a follow-up as well, and we see additional barracks here coming up from Maru. I was thinking there maybe he wants to go for a bit more of a mech-based push, judging by the timing of the 4th gas, but then also, you know, the fact that he decided to go for the mech field upgrade, but apparently he's just getting that upgrade just to make sure that he doesn't die to stupid stuff. So look at this. He's just waiting to intercept air units. That's basically what this all comes down to. So I think we're setting ourselves up for a nice little macro game, which I do like seeing. I'm liking this position a little bit better for Clem, though. Couple reasons why. First off, he's going to be able to get his upgrades a little bit quicker, assuming he actually starts them up. Secondly, obviously, he has his start command center a little bit quicker, which is also really neat. So he's ahead in, like, tech, he's ahead in army supply, he's ahead in workers, right? He's basically ahead in every part of the game in StarCraft 2 that's relevant. Is that game ending? Not really. Terran versus Terran is also one of the few matchups. Man, this Banshee right now, trying to force out energy right there from those Ravens. He doesn't want to use it, though. Like, Maru really wants to save up some of that energy. Anyways, is that game ending? Not really. Terran versus Terran is one of the few matchups in StarCraft 2 where the defender's advantage, especially in the mid-game with siege tanks, is absolutely huge. You can try and negate some of that, though, with those Ravens. How many tanks are there out at this point here for Maru? It's 3 versus 4, so Maru has 3 siege tanks at this point. He's only got 1 Raven, though, Clem that is, so he can't disable all of them. He can try go for a bit of a push here, but it's a difficult commitment, right? I like the idea better, actually, of trying to go into your opponent's natural from here. But yeah, you can see that defender's advantage absolutely huge. Nice lock on there. Ooh, almost ends up killing that siege tank. He was 1 missile away. There's 1 interference matrix right now that opens up the opportunity for Clem to move a little bit further forward. We do see a ton of those auto turrets drop to the ground, rather. Man, I thought for a second I was a rep god, but then I started stumbling. Anyway. Siege tank, ugh. Yeah, it's gonna shoot away a couple of those Marines, at least for now. 7 more SCVs end up falling. And this is Clem just trying to push the advantage, right? Look at that. It's like he set up all of his rally points towards the other side of the map. Even though Maru is notorious for his drop harassment and just constant, you know, counter-aggression, he doesn't really have the option at this point to go for any of those moves. There's a couple Vikings here available as well for Maru, which is worth noting because they're phenomenal, obviously, at... Ooh, that's so close. They're phenomenal as well when you land them on the ground, when you try to go after the siege tanks. Yeah, I think this might be a better move right here for the player in red. Just back off for now. He really wants to get those siege tanks that are low in hit points. Could actually be a game changer, but... Okay. So the scan right there from Maru confirms that indeed Clem has decided to go back home. For the time being. He'll be back. He'll be back for sure. I'm assuming, yeah, there is an armory here. So Clem really needs to make sure that he stays on top of those upgrades. Probably could have already had those out, or at least going for a little while. There we go. +2/+2 does start up. A little bit late on +1/+1, and then a little bit late on 2/2 as well. It slows down the timing attacks, right? I mean, it's obviously me being very critical, but yeah. It's one of the ways that you win TVT. Like, upgrades are absolutely massive. Now already, Maru is anticipating this next move. Would you look at that? So all of the units are right now inside of these medevacs. I love the position right here, though, for Maru. He's already decided to put a lot of his air units right there on the dead space between the 2 locations. Great positioning right there of the supply depot as well. I mean, he decides to boost in regardless. Interference matrices do go down as well on a few of these medevacs. Maru decided to back off right there just barely in the nick of time. Oof. Alright. So this is apparently now when the engagement starts off here on the, I guess the top section of the map. Or it feels like the top section because of the way that the main base is positioned, but obviously this is the left side of the screen. Anyhow, since Maru does have that air dominance, he's now also adding on a couple of Liberators, and Liberators obviously fantastic at forcing the opponent to unsiege. There you go. That's what I mean. Oh, that's... Ugh. Okay, I don't know, man. That's like 10 Marines right there for I don't know, one Liberator. I don't like it that much. Wow. If that was a queen, she'd be dead. If a queen has her like little pinky toe in there, it's a disaster. Now, in the meantime, on the right-hand side of the screen, we do see all of the Terran's reinforcement now moving on over towards, I guess, the newly acquired 4th base here of Maru. Maru right now trying to see if he can get up a planetary fortress, but since Clem intercepted that just barely in time, it won't be happening just yet. Nice multitasking here as well by Clem. Keep in mind, he can always go for the drop. That's exactly what I'm saying. And even though this is spotted right now, Maru sees exactly what's going on. He's not going to be able to respond here in time, and that means that the siege tanks are right now sieging up inside of the main base. Interference matrices, though, do drop down. 21 SCVs, 22 SCVs, 20... Dude, tons of SCVs are going down, is my point. Interference matrix, though, does not last forever. And with it wearing off, it is Clem who outplayed Maru in this best of 3 series and who obtained the victory against the highest ranked Terran player in the world, 2-0. Now, I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I looked into my YouTube analytics before starting today's recording, and it turns out that still not even half of the people that watch my videos are subscribed to the channel. So if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button so you get notified whenever future content goes live. And maybe this channel will be picked up a little bit better as well by the YouTube algorithm, and how we can grow StarCraft together. Anyways, for now, thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.